Hi, this is Johnny Dangerous. You're watching the Tidy TV channel exclusively on YouTube. Today I'm talking to the Tidy Boys about the label, the events, the music, and there's also going to be a little bit about streaming and illegal downloading. Keep watching. Thank you very much, both of you, for your time. I know time's precious, but you do like a good chat, so here you are.
We do.
Now, we're slowly coming out of lockdown, okay? Whilst many of the industry have had it tough, Tidy has also had it tough, but not as tough. If anything, you've been a bit more innovative.
Difficult word.
Innovative, it is a difficult word. But you've also been successful, if they are the right words to use. So why do you think this is?
Because we are, I suppose, first and foremost, businessmen, if you will. So if you stand still, you will suffer and fail. So we're fortunate that we're not a one-dimensional record label. So we had other ideas. We've launched different projects. So we did the Pure Energy Go project. We've got a big fan base as well, so people still wanted to consume music. We had the Weekender event, which obviously people were buying into. Mm-hmm. So we kept moving, really. We kept moving with fresh ideas, and things have suffered. Of course they have, but
well, all the events cancelled basically. I mean, every event company suffered, didn't they? Including ourselves. We had to postpone the Weekender. We've got other events planned. We've got birthday parties we've got planned for the September last year. That all had to go. So your business model has to change, because obviously you'd got a schedule and you'd got incomings and outgoings, and you'd forecast. So as soon as the events had stopped, you've got a hole to fill. But rather than go online and do loads of live streams and keep shouting out, we're here, look at us, we probably got a head down and, like Andy said, did other stuff. And I think the saving grace, which we'll talk about a bit later, was the fitness music for Pure Energy Go, which probably kept us afloat and kept us occupied. And also it gave, I think the lockdown gave a chance for us to discover new music and new talent, because all the producers and all the DJs locked themselves away in a cupboard, learnt Ableton and Logic, and we've discovered some great talent during lockdown. So one thing that became apparent, one thing we hadn't done for probably 10 years, is refocus on the music. And I think we probably wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for lockdown, that made us realise, hold on a minute, it's about music and we need to get back on track. And so I think that's one good thing to come from the lockdown.
Well said.
Thank you very much.
Well said.
Thank you.
Now, I do want to talk about Pure Energy Go. So it has become, in a relatively short space of time, a really successful royalty-free fitness platform. Being in the dance music industry, you've seen streams taken down off Facebook, DJ streams. I would never have thought it would have happened with a fitness instructor. However, it does because of the music. So it's all about the music, okay? So where did the idea for Pure Energy Go come from?
Andy.
Thank you very much.
And who's involved in it? Because I said you were successful with what you did during lockdown, and this is also part of that success, isn't it?
It is very much so, John, yes. As well as Tidy, I'm the chairman, executive chairman actually, the chairman of the Music Factory Entertainment Group, which is where Tidy came from, where Jack Bunny came from. It's my family business, so I now run that business, and part of that business is an element called Pure Energy, which we launched in 1992, which was music for fitness. So we'd create mixes using original artist music for fitness, and fitness instructors would subscribe to that. So that's where that came from. Go back to March in 2020, I was in the office and I heard a phone call in the office, an instructor asking for music they could play online. And I thought, hold on. So we quickly deployed. I came with a new idea, Pure Energy Go. We're awash with brilliant, talented producers around us, from Max Mozart to Paul Chambers to Rob Tessera, Sam, and everybody in between. And we very quickly deployed a website, an app, and fast forward to today, we've done about 130 albums, from drum and bass to EDM to house to yoga, chill out, and created a new business. So all instructors through lockdown could go online and teach without getting muted. So it's all, we call it rights included music. So we own the copyright worldwide. we've been able to pay good money to producers to make that music. And so if we fast forward to today, we've got 4,000 instructors that have bought that music, and it's going on from strength to strength. So it was just one of those things where I thought quickly, and we moved quickly, and we've got a great business now off the back of it.
And it is quite credible music, isn't it? Because it's not just your typical fitness kind of pop. You've got rave music, you've got house music, you've got funk, you've got everything basically. Well, even 80s synth pop.
80s, yeah. I was involved in the 80s. I enjoyed doing that. But yeah, all the producers that Andy mentioned, like Ben Stevens and that, I mean, all the producers like Paul Chambers were probably going to sit at home worrying about where the money's going to come from. So this worked perfectly for us as a business, and also all the individual Tidy producers who were sitting at home thinking, oh dear, what next? So it was perfect timing in that sense. And yeah, from Andy's little idea there, it kept us going for a year, and it's gone from strength to strength. Who knows where it's going next? And
global, Amadeus, going global.
Going global, so I hear through his network.
Global.
But yeah, so although a lot of the Tidy producers were involved in it, what we've not been producing is hard house. And actually it's been a breath of fresh air for a lot of our producers to be able to do something different. So if you think about a fitness music, you might think, oh, it's just going to be crap. But actually, it's as good as anything you'd hear commercially. But be that the drum and bass, you hear the albums that Rob Tessiris produced for us, House is a Feeling, it might as well be on Ministry of Sound. So, so the music is as good as you'll hear from any commercial record label, because these guys produce commercial music. And it was some great projects where we went back to recreate the sound of the 90s, and the reason we could do that because the producers we were working with were producing stuff in the 90s. So yeah, it's been a perfect storm in some ways, and it's been very well received.
You touched briefly on creativity and people having, not much to do in lockdown, they're learning software. There has been a massive surge of new talent coming through, especially on the more recent Tidy releases. You've got new artists on every label, whether it's Tidy, whether it's Untidy, whether it's Tidy 2. How important is this, not just to Tidy, but to the industry? And, you could have quite easily just commissioned tracks from established artists sat there doing nothing.
Yeah, I don't think we went about and commissioned. We didn't necessarily go to Adam Dixon and Bryn Whiting and all these producers and said, right, okay, lockdown. They did it off their own back. So some of the producers that came through literally took time out to learn the software. Even Sam Townend is a good example. He's a producer in his own right and worked with other engineers. But I remember when we locked up here, and it was in March, that March the 23rd, and we all went home. And me and Sam were just chatting, and he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, well, most of Ableton, you know how to do mixes, you've worked with other engineers. Why don't you take this time for you to become the engineer, for you to become self-sufficient? Go away and learn Ableton. And then literally 3 months later, he comes out with Fractal album. So again, it sort of happened by, not accident, but matter of course. I think, even I went back in and did some Pure Energy Go stuff. I did the 80s stuff. It was quite refreshing. So with the new talent coming through on the labels, I think there was a perfect storm again. I think it was lockdown. I think we'll talk about it in a minute, but when Lee Haslam came back involved and Sam's Fractal album kicked Untidy again, then I think once you get momentum and all of a sudden there's a Fractal album comes out and everybody's listening and Patrick Topping's playing a track of it, all of a sudden the eyes went from not looking at us to looking at us, and then that built momentum. So what happened is other producers listened to the Fractal album and what we were doing, and they thought, oh, I like that, I want to do it. And it's just snowballed. So now with the A&R, me, Lee and Sam, we sit in the office and all together, and we've got so much new music coming. But it all started by, I suppose, we kick-started it by going back in the studio and reinvigorating our own sound, and now every other producer's starting to like that and therefore want to be back on the label again, because like I said a minute ago, we turned it from not just the t-shirt and the event, we went back to music. And I think once people realised we were doing music again and pushing the label, it was perfect. And streaming, obviously everybody's during lockdown, streaming revenue went up and everybody started making music for people to listen to at home. So again, 10, 15 different elements that all make the perfect storm.
Okay, let's talk about Lee. He's back as
Lee
general
Haslam.
manager. Yeah, he's come round 25 years and he's back as general manager. His old role that he had, he's back as general manager, not label manager, sorry. His old role of label manager has now been taken up by Ben Stevens. So both have got a phenomenal history within dance music and the hard house scene. How important are these two in the development and
Not very at all.
No.
Completely.
Just helping them out.
Yeah.
Just helping them out. Really.
They were a bit lonely, so we said you can come in a day a week. No, in all seriousness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In all I think it was you that got Lee involved and probably me that sort of...
Yeah, Lee, due to lockdown again, Lee obviously manages lots of artists. He found himself in a situation where he didn't have a huge amount to focus on because no one was playing. So we've always obviously kept in touch with Lee and we work with him. And so I said, hey, why don't you come and do a bit with us? So we came and started to look after the Tidy Pro education program that we run. And there was a reason why we employed Lee back in the day, because he brings a different skill set to us. Not only has he obviously got the knowledge of music and the passion for the music, but he's a bloody organised fella, and we're not very organised. And so yeah, we worked with him for a short while, and I said, Lee, things are growing fast. I need a man that glues all this together. So yeah, Lee came back in as general manager, which freed Sam up, because Sam's doing a lot for me on the pure energy side of things, and also he's growing all the Untidy stuff. So bringing Lee in, it was just a natural thing for us to do, and it's just helping move the business forward. And the same with Ben. Ben's been working with us for a long time, behind the scenes, dealing with all our digital stuff, but we've just upped that role. So Ben's now taken over the label management side of things as well. Amo and Sam still deal with the A&R. But yeah, it's great. We've got the team's growing, but we've all been working together for a long time, so it was a natural fit.
Let's touch on Untidy and Untidy UX now. It was an innovative... I still can't really say the word.
Do you want us to write it down for you?
It was an innovative sound back then when it first came out in the mid-90s. Now, it's been taken to a new level. It's had radio on airplay, which not many Tidy releases have. Do you think that the sound of Untidy will bypass Tidy? Could it possibly overtake the brand? Because you are getting some phenomenal support from some really big names. The likes of Richie Houghton have downloaded the track.
Well, that's great news. But I also think that Danny Howard playing it on radio and Sam Devine remixing some of her tracks. I mean, it's more than just Richie, I think. I think, like I said, every sort of credible DJ is looking at the label again. However, if you go back to 97, 98, when you say, will Untidy overtake Tidy, we had most of our commercial we had most of our commercial success in the late 90s with Untidy. Don't forget that Judge Jules, Radio 1, Dave Pearce, everybody played the Untidy dubs. I said this the other day in the office. It was one of those, because the tempo was brought down, we had you had Tony playing the funky groove at Trade, and you had Judge Jules playing it on Radio 1. That was perfect when you can hit those amount of people. And so Untidy's been more accessible to a wider audience. So even first time round, us and Paul Janes and Paul Chambers were doing the Untidy remixes for Erasure, Donna Summer, some big acts. I mean, let's face it, when we look back at history, Untidy is the most commercial, wider appeal of our record labels. So it's nothing new when it comes round a second time that all of a sudden it's being played on Radio 1 again. It's the only time we ever have been played on Radio 1 is the Untidy record label. It's a more accessible... look, it's closer to house, and so it's a bit more accessible than something that's, say, 145 Untidy 2 or 148 Untidy. So it's always going to be, played at more varied club venues and across radio.
But going back to Lee Haslam, because of Lee's connections across the broader industry and who he represents, the idea of the UX releases was to take our 25 years of history, and let's not forget, a lot of these DJs who are playing tech house and house, your Toppings of this world, they grew up on hard house, and when you hear some of them talking about their memories of Tidy, you understand where the sound came from. So it was quite a natural thing to do, to say, hey, 25 years of Tidy, pick your track, do a remix. So that's helped in that bringing the Untidy sound forward again and the UX sound. So it all seems to fit quite nicely.
And again, with Sam doing the Fractal album and imagining the Untidy sound, because if you listen to it now, it's not gone back to the offbeat same sort of bass lines we had. It's a totally different, but you can tell it's inspired by that. But it's moved forward, and I think with what Sam's done with the label and Lee coming in and these new remixes, now everybody wants to remix a Tidy track and get on Untidy, so it's a good place to be.
It's lovely.
It's a lovely place to be. It really is. I'm not stooping, am I?
No, I was saying to Sam earlier that the music coming from Untidy and UX is just phenomenal. I've heard the 4 tracks that no one's heard yet outside of these walls, yeah. And the Sam Divine mix of Lisa Lashes is just wow.
Isn't it though?
Yeah, it is
massive.
What I like about it, it's cool, it's credible, but it still has, I don't know, a feeling of the original. It sort of pays justice to the original, but clearly a different style. It's not, it's not an offbeat bouncer at 150 or something. But I'd say it's more intelligent approach to it, and again a wider appeal. So if more people can listen to the Looking Good remix, then again, we need to widen our appeal, because I think for a long time, for the last 10 years or so, we've been living in a bubble, and that's sort of a bit of fun, isn't it? Living in your own bubble, your own fan base, but we're all going to end up being butchers and carpenters and not making. If we don't make money, what?
Keep going.
What do you mean keep going?
Butchers and carpenters.
Yeah.
If you like sausage.
Do you know a butcher?
I don't know a butcher. Do you know what? I never met a butcher, not in real life. But you're all going to end up. We're all going to not making music, not keeping the label going. So we need to. As I go back to my original statement, which is we needed to burst out the bubble a little bit, and I think with the UX remixes, we've done just that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, let's touch on Tidy Pro, because it's clearly proved its worth with the new signings to Untidy, for example. What's the next chapter for Tidy Pro? Because you set that up to be an educational service to develop new talent. The new talent has started coming through now, so it's working, that formula's working. What's the next chapter for Tidy Pro? Because I'm sure it's not just going to stay as it is.
Yeah, well, Andy knows more about Tidy Pro because he was Mr. Education before we set up Tidy Pro.
You explore.
Yeah, obviously, whilst I'm heavily involved in all things music for 30 odd years, for the past 15 years I've been involved in the education sector, and particularly digital online education. And I just, it was a thing that crossed my mind about a year and a half ago about could we develop online music courses using the brand and reaching the audience. So initially we set up Tidy Pro with BK's course to really just play to our audience, and so Tidy Pro was about education for the hard generation. The next phase is to broaden that out now, so in line with UX and the Untidy sound, it's not going to be exclusively around hard house. So we're just about to go into the second year of Tidy Pro, so we've got a world-renowned brand, we've got amazing producers, DJs and engineers within our roster, so we now just want to broaden that appeal out. So Tidy Pro will move on to the next phase now. We can use all the success of the last year, because guys have come through and made some incredible music that has been signed. So yeah, it was a project that we started. It's been successful, and I think, again, going back to lockdown, a time to learn. So it's worked out very, very well. So yeah, we'll push it forward in an organic fashion. We're not going crazy and throwing loads of money at it. It's just organically growing. So yeah, we're looking forward to the next phase of it. And actually, part of that will be utilising the place where we're at now, because while we've had to do everything online, we'll start looking at some physical courses, and we're about to open the Tidy Studios up as part of Tidy Pro as well, where selected people can come and book and work at the Tidy Studios with some of our engineers in the physical space as much as the digital space.
Okay, so again, let's talk about new music. There's so much new music coming out on the label, on Tidy, Tidy 2, Untidy Trax. There's various Spotify playlists. lots of streaming sites that you're on. Sam does the Untidy radio show. What's next in the pipeline for this promotion? The old school was radio. I mean, you've got the Tidy TV channel, prime example of what we're doing today.
I don't think we're going to go down just one particular channel. Clearly, with the store we've got, we still sell CDs. We still sell a lot of USBs. So our audience still like... Tidy's 25 years old and people collect. So you've got to bear in mind that people have got racks and racks on their bedroom or living room walls of CDs and vinyl. I think that the weakest link in all of them is the download, weirdly. I think we'll be still collecting CDs and vinyl long after the download has died. So I think the three elements are streaming, clearly, vinyl, which we're bringing back, and we've got some big vinyl releases this summer, and we'll still continue with the CDs, because I think just like vinyl, people like to collect. So CDs, vinyl, USBs, and the downloads there more for the DJ these days. I don't know whether the general public are a downloaded sort of type of people. I think it is purely for DJs.
Maybe so. And more podcasts. We need to get back and start our radio show again.
Yeah, we were very good, weren't we?
Sam's led the way, to be fair. So again, post-lockdown now, we've got the facility to do it. So we're going to start doing more of our radio shows, podcasts.
Untidy TV again. You know, we've got the YouTube channel here, and I think now we can all get back together. We can do some silly stuff as well.
In showers, in chalets, in pontins.
Maybe so.
Anything.
Maybe so, John.
So I want to talk to you now about the unauthorised selling of digital music, okay, via file sharing. It's always been a topic of contention for, you know, when I was back at Tidy, the MP3 was just starting to make an appearance back then. Back in the early 2000s, hardware makers now are implementing it in things like Denon Prime 4. You've got Pioneer integrating streaming into the music that they're doing. You've always been strong with streaming here at Tidy. Is the answer to stopping illegal music download and file sharing streaming?
Well, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think if you file share and distribute music illegally, you're a cunt.
Oh, we can't say that.
No, I've done that so that we can put a little bleep on that.
Right, lovely. Okay.
No, to be honest, look, it's happened since time began.
But they are, to be fair.
But they are, yeah. It's happened since time began. People used to tape music off Top of the Pops, you know. There's always, but the trouble with that's not so bad. If you're in your bedroom and you've got your little cassette and you've recorded Top of the Pops, it's when people take a collection, say one of our USBs, copy it several times, and then go and sell it online for £120, and then start distributing it. That's the equivalent of the little boy in the bedroom taking Top Pops, going on the market and having a big stall and everybody coming along. But it's even worse now because anybody in the world can get that. So I mean, and the other thing is we're in such a small niche market with hard house. If you really love music, you wouldn't do that. I just think if you, for the love of music, for the love of labels, because as we said earlier, the producers, you know, there's not a lot of money to be made in music these days. It's not like the old days where you'd sell 20, 30,000 bits of vinyl and there'd be some big royalties. It's harder work to make music. So streaming's good, but you do have to work harder to get them return. Therefore, anybody who comes along who just steals music, and it's just, well, I don't know, they're just twats.
You're not a hard house fan. If there was a classic example online recently, you're not a hard house fan if you are prepared to go on Facebook and advertise to the world that you've got a hard drive full of every hard house label and every hard house release ever, and you're either selling it or giving it away for free, because you're just robbing from very talented people that have invested their time and their money into making music. And yeah, the days of making a lot of money from selling music it's difficult, you know, because the physical sale is not so much nowadays. But it galls me to my core when I see people doing this and just basically robbing from people. And we take great pride through Tidy that we represent a lot of artists and a lot of labels catalogued now through streaming. It's what Ben Stevens manages to for us. And every month we account upwards of £10,000 to the hard house community. Every month. You know, some of those are small payments. You might, one month an artist might get 60 quid here and there. But when you're representing the vast catalogue that we represent, we reinvest back into people's pockets upwards of £10,000 a month, because we can legitimately now collect the streaming royalties from Spotify, from Apple, through our distributor. So we do it legitimately and it goes back into people's pockets. But when I see somebody just blatantly robbing from every single producer and artist, they're not a Hard House fan, they're just a thief, basically. And we are taking action now where we're going to go after these people. We're never going to make any money out of these people, but they need to be banned from every event, every group, anything to do with the scene. They've got to be outed, but we will also go after them legally as well.
So we're not just talking about one guy who says, I've got this remix, do you want a copy of it? We're talking about people who take collections, who take great pride in nicking the collection and then sell it on to their friends.
Like the hard drive, for example.
Like the hard drive, you know, it's criminal. It's literally the equivalent to going into an art gallery, nicking all the paintings and then going out. And some people think if they give them away for free, they've done no damage. So if I go in Sainsbury's, nick some tea bags and give it away to somebody free, when the policeman turns up, he'll say, oh, that's all right, you nicked them and give them away for free. Sorry, it don't work like that, does it?
No.
If you steal and give it away free, you are still stealing. And so we have to protect the interests of the artists we represent. And I think Andy's right, you know, giving £10,000 a month back to the artist is our way of saying, look, you can be done legit. But this is why we do love streaming, because it is locked off. And also because now the mass audience wants streaming and not downloads, I do see the end, hopefully, of the file sharing, because who wants a load of MP3s on your desktop? The general public don't. They want their phone and access playlists and be able to access it. So this lockdown of streaming will eventually kill the download and hopefully kill the person that's file sharing.
And it's even worse for... You know, so you can have a view about Tidy, or Tidy do this, that, and the other.
But it's not a Tidy thing, is it? It's a music.
It's like John Hemming,
yeah.
You know, or some of the smaller labels. They invest so much of their time into making this music, and so when you're doing that, it's just the lowest thing. It really is. So, but anyway, as a collective, we should make it such that it's just unacceptable, and you're just not welcome at any event. If you're a DJ who's doing this, you're not welcome to be playing any event, and if you're a clubber, we just got to ban these people from everything to do with our scene.
Scum of the earth.
Subhuman.
I mean, to put it into layman's terms for those that still don't get it, because people are going to listen to this and think, yeah, okay, and then, you know, carry on. What kind of damage is it doing to the music industry? I mean, you touched briefly on the smaller labels like Hemming, Shed Label, etc. And, you know, every label, I guess, is going to have some form of impact by people doing this. How damaging is it to the music industry? If people continue, what will happen?
Well, even not just our industry, I think people are a bit naive. Even in the fitness industry, I'm sure people use Spotify, they're not supposed to. People probably share stuff they're not supposed to. I think, unfortunately, education is important for people to realise that what they're doing is wrong. And I think we just need to educate people a bit more about file sharing. I don't know. I think some people are naive, and I accept that, but I think some people are just evil.
Some people just got no respect. They just don't care. But if you forever take the money that should be going into someone else's pocket, people won't have the time or the inclination to make music anymore. And if people don't make music, you can't dance to music. So you're always going to get people who just want stuff for free and have got no respect for people in society or business. But it's just a case of making it unacceptable. So if you're going to do it, you're not part of our gang.
And also, it's cheap these days. When I was a DJ, I'd have to, even back in the 80s and 90s, I was paying $4.99, $6.99 for an import of one track, or probably two if you got a B-side. 2 tracks, you know, you're paying £6 for. Now, you know, you can go to Beatport and download 2 tracks for £2.49. You know, you can download albums from Apple or Beatport for $8.99. You know, you get so much more money, and for $9.99 you get the whole world on Spotify. So why on earth would you do it? You know, it's cheap. Music is cheap these days. So don't. It's like, it's so cheap. What is the point of stealing it? You know what I mean? It's like, I never understand why people steal from the pound shop. Pointless. If you're going to steal, go to Debenhams.
Yeah, and look where they are.
Yeah, lovely advice. Yeah, exactly.
Look where they are,
John.
see? Brilliant
Exactly
analogy, Amadeus. Brilliant analogy.
That's
that.
why they've gone down. Yeah.
Exactly.
So finally, Tidy Weekender 25. It's fast approaching. Fingers crossed. Wales gets its act together and everything's okay. Now, you've said before that this will be the last Tidy Weekender when you've done other weekenders. Is this going to be the last Tidy Weekender?
I think we're bored of saying that now, aren't we? I mean, we know, I said to you earlier in the office, the reason that we always said it was the last weekender is because, and I repeat this, please take note, treat everyone as the last weekender because it could be and one day it will be. And also, when we book the weekenders, we don't book, even back in the glory days, we didn't book the next one because we have to have a safe event where everybody leaves and everybody's happy before we make a decision to do another one. So during that weekender, most of the time, I think I used to make the decision on the Sunday night and used to get on stage and say, we've got some good news, we've survived this weekend and we're going to have another one. So it always potentially was the last one. That played into our arms for marketing, into our arms.
But to be fair, at the time, it wasn't fun and games. It was a case of, that's it. We made a decision. That was the last one for a number of reasons at the time. Time passes by and the opportunity arises. You say, well, okay, let's go again. And it happens in life. Bands retire, things stop, and then they come back round again. From our perspective,
Like DJs retire and come back round again.
well, as the Tidy Boys, and we did retire, we have retired because it's down to your interpretation. As in, before the Tidy Boys will be doing whatever 20, 30 gigs a month, we took a decision to stop touring. We took 2 or 3 years out, and at that point we did say that's it. Now, as time progressed, we said, okay, we'll just do our own little gigs. So, never say never.
No.
But the Tidy Boys...
We've stuck to that, though. It's 6 years in and we've only played for... and I think at the time we said that we'd only play Tidy gigs, we wouldn't play for other ones. And we are playing a festival this year, which is an 80s, 90s one. However, that's not really in the same space as Hard House. And if we get to play some odd places, Hungary...
Yeah.
Hungary would be good.
Hungary would be good, yeah.
Bulgaria or anywhere like that, we would probably take it up. But in the UK, we're not... Like Sandy said, we were doing 3 or 4 gigs a week and we just retired from that. So, yeah. But back to the weekenders.
Yes.
This is not the last one, but then it may well be. So let's leave it open-ended. I think if we always leave it open-ended, it's like Breaking Bad. Will it ever come back? They said they wouldn't come back, but probably will come back. So let's leave it open-ended. But it's worth going just in case it is the last one. And that's what we always said. Treat every gig as if it's your last one, because one day it will be.
But no, it's looking good. All the signs are positive with regards to the roadmap, whether it's England or Wales.
Well, Wales are ahead of the curve a little bit. They've opened up.
We're taking all the precautions to run a safe event, so all the protocols that need to be in place. But everything's telling us that we should be able to put on a very good event, which feels like any other Tidy event. So.
Although this one will be extra special because I think it'll be more emotional.
Wow.
For the people that we've all been locked up, and I think this one, it's been 6 years since we've done a weekender, and it's been nobody's been out and about and clubbing since. I think this will be the first proper Hard House event, and it's not like we've just done a small gig in Leeds or in Birmingham. We're putting 2,500 people, reuniting them at a weekender, and as you know, Johnny, it's a spiritual home. It's where we think the spiritual home of Hard House is at the minute for us, and it always has been. So I can't wait to be on that stage or in the middle of the dance floor back in Prestatyn. July the 9th, and we've sold it out, so there's no bed spaces, but obviously there is daytime tickets, and I think now everybody knows it's definitely happening. I think the daytime tickets are going to fly, and who knows, we could topple 3,000 people on site.
There's no party like a Tidy Weekender.
There's
That's
nothing,
right, John.
There's nothing, John. I've said that to you before. I've even wrote it down on your desk, and you've not read it back to yourself.
I haven't read it yet. No, I'm going to go and read it now.
Andy,
Amadeus, thank you very much for your time today. It's been great speaking.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Johnny. You smell gorgeous.
Isn't he? Beautiful man.